Ladakh is a land of stark beauty. It is a high-altitude desert. It is nestled deep within the Great Himalayan mountain range. It is nestled within the Karakoram mountain range. This is a place of soaring peaks. This is a place of vast, empty plateaus. The sky here is a brilliant, piercing blue. The air is thin and crisp. For centuries, this region was almost a world unto itself. It was isolated by the formidable mountains that surround it. Yet it was also a vital link. It was a bridge connecting the cultures and commerce of India, Tibet, Central Asia, carving deep valleys where life has taken root in small, resilient communities. Leh, the largest town, sits in one such valley, a historic hub of trade and governance. The story of Ladakh is a long one. It stretches back over 1,000 years. It begins with ancient rock carvings left by unknown travelers. It moves through the arrival of Buddhism, which would come to define its soul. The narrative continues with the rise and fall of powerful local dynasties. These rulers built magnificent forts and monasteries that still cling to the mountainsides today. The essay will trace this path, from its early history as a trading hub to its absorption into larger empires. It will also examine the profound changes of the 20th and 21st centuries, from the wars that redrew its borders to its recent establishment as a Union territory of India on the 31st of October 2019. It is a history often overshadowed by the larger events of its powerful neighbors, yet this seemingly remote land was, for much of its existence, a cosmopolitan center of exchange. Ideas, goods, people. This constant flow created a unique culture, a tapestry woven from Indian, Tibetan, and Central Asian threads. Understanding this history is crucial. It helps us appreciate the challenges and opportunities Ladakh faces today. The history is not just about kings and wars. It is about the enduring spirit of its people. The landscape itself is a central character. The towering mountains provided protection, but also imposed harsh limits on life. Short summers allowed a single, precious harvest of barley and vegetables. Long before kingdoms rose and fell, Ladakh was a highway, not of tarmac and cars, but of dusty trails traversed by determined travelers. Its strategic location sat at the intersection of Asia's great trade routes. Caravans of yaks and ponies, slow journeys through formidable passes. They moved salt from the Tibetan lakes and carried luxurious pashmina from Ladakh. There was silk, brocades and spices flowing toward the bazaars of Kashmir and the plains of India. The evidence is etched into Ladakh's rocks. Travelers left their marks: hunts, ibex, and distant travelers. Scripts like Kharosti and Brahmi testify to long connections. The single most transformative event in Ladakh's history was the arrival of Buddhism. While it likely trickled in earlier from Kashmir, the Great Wave came from Tibet around the 10th century. This was a conquest of ideas, not armies. Missionary lamas crossed the high passes, founding hermitages and temples that grew into the monasteries defining Ladakh's life. Local rulers became patrons of the faith. Gompas became centers of power, learning, and art. Schools, libraries, community hubs. Second sons often entered monastic life. Hemis, Thiksi, Alchi, Lamayuru. Wealth grew from land and devotion. An artistic flowering blended Kashmiri elegance with Tibetan iconography. Medieval Ladakh was fragmented among chieftains. In the 15th century, the Namgyal dynasty rose. Founded by Lachan Bagan of Basko, he deposed the king of Leh and unified Ladakh. He took the name Namgyal, victorious, and founded a line that ruled for nearly 400 years. Ladakh emerged as an independent mountain power. Sengye Namgyal, the Lion King of the 17th century, was a formidable builder and commander. He pushed into Zanskar, Spiti, and western Tibet. He raised the 9-story Leh Palace over the capital. He patronized great Gompas, including Hemis. Balancing Mughal power to the west and Tibet to the east was vital. Their legacy endures in palaces, monasteries, art, and the very idea of Ladakh as a unified realm. For centuries, the Namgyals held Ladakh's independence. In the early 1800s, Dogra power rose from the south. Gulab Singh of Jammu sought the trans-Himalayan routes. He sent General Zorawar Singh to subdue the mountain kingdoms. Use 19th century Dogra soldiers illustration. Between 1834 and 1841, Zorawar Singh fought brutal campaigns in Ladakh and Baltistan. The invasion was a turning point. Ladakhi bravery met a hardened, well-equipped army. Leh fell. The Namgyal king accepted Dogra suzerainty and tribute. Resistance continued but was crushed. By 1842, conquest was complete, all amid the Great Game, British and Russian rivalry in Central Asia. The British drew maps, formalized borders, and brought Jammu and Kashmir under paramountcy. Power shifted to Jammu and Srinagar. Routes and regulations reshaped Ladakh's world. 1947 remade the subcontinent. The British withdrew. India and Pakistan were born. Jammu and Kashmir's fate was undecided. The Maharaja hoped for independence. An invasion in October forced accession to India, and war followed. In Ladakh, Leh was besieged. Indian troops held on, led by Major Prithi Chand and Lieutenant Colonel Sherjung Thapa. A desperate Dakota landing saved the town. A 1949 ceasefire drew a line of control. Baltistan was lost. Leh and Kargil remained with India. Ladakh became a sensitive, militarized border zone. In 1999, Pakistani soldiers occupied high posts above the highway. The Kargil War was brutal, underscoring Ladakh's strategic vulnerability. A peaceful home had become a frontier. As the West stayed tense, a new challenge rose in the east. The Tibet border, under the PRC, had never been formally demarcated. India cited the Johnson Line, including Aksai Chin. China built a strategic highway across Aksai Chin, linking Tibet and Xinjiang. In October 1962, after rising tensions, war erupted. In Ladakh, attacks were swift. Undersupplied, unacclimatized posts were overrun. Fighting raged at Galwan and Chushul. Indian troops showed remarkable courage. A month later, China declared a ceasefire, retaining Aksai Chin. The defeat shocked India and shattered Nehru's hopes of coexistence. A militarized line of actual control followed, with recurring standoffs, even deadly clashes in 2020 at Galwan. Ladakh's strategic position now sits at the heart of India's security calculus. For decades after independence, Ladakh was part of Jammu and Kashmir. Many Ladakhis, especially in Buddhist-majority Leh, felt neglected. They argued their language, culture, and priorities were distinct. A long-standing demand grew for Union Territory status. On 5 August 2019, Article 370 was abrogated and reorganization passed. Jammu and Kashmir became a UT, Ladakh, a separate UT without a legislature. The change took effect on 31st October, celebrated widely in Leh, but met with apprehension in Kargil. Proponents hoped for faster development, better infrastructure, and tailored governance. Tourism and jobs could grow. New investments promised connectivity and sustainability, yet fears arose over environment, culture, land, and resources, sparking demands for sixth schedule protections. The history of Ladakh is a story of resilience. A people who have not only survived but thrived in an extreme environment. For 1,000 years, isolation and connection coexisted. Remote and protected, yet a hub where paths crossed and cultures met. The Dogra conquest ended independence. Partitions severed ancient trade. Wars with Pakistan and China militarized the land. The 2019 reorganization reshaped identity again. Each shift pulled Ladakh deeper into the nation and geopolitics. Yet the Buddhist faith, monasteries and rituals remain the bedrock. The language still thrives. Community bonds endure. The bond to land is unbroken. At this new dawn, Ladakh's past offers pride and lessons, proof that even in the highest places, human culture creates profound meaning.